Morning, everybody. Recently, 5 provinces and 1 territory all penned a letter to Justin Trudeau regarding Bill C-69 and C-48. And, well, I'll read you the whole letter and we'll see how Justin Trudeau responds. Spoiler alert, it's exactly how you'd expect him to respond. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, we are writing on behalf of the governments of Ontario, New Brunswick, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and the Northwest Territories. Collectively, our 5 provinces and territories represent 59% of the Canadian population, 63% of Canada's GDP. We are central to Canada's economy and prosperity, and it is of the utmost importance that you consider our concerns with Bill C-69 and C-48. Canadians across the country are unified in their concerns about the economic impacts of the legislation, such as it was proposed by the House of Commons. In this form, the damage it would do to the economy, jobs, and investment will echo from one coast to the other. Provincial and territorial jurisdiction must be respected. Provinces and territories have clear and sole jurisdiction over the development of their non-renewable natural resources, forestry resources, and the generation and production of electricity. Bill C-69 upsets the balance struck by the constitutional division of powers by ignoring the exclusive provincial powers over projects relating to these resources. The federal government must recognize the exclusive role provinces and territories have over the management of our non-renewable natural resources development or risk creating a constitutional crisis. Bill C-69, as originally drafted, would make it virtually impossible to develop critical infrastructure, depriving Canada of much needed investment. According to the C.D. Howe Institute, between 2017 and 2018, the planned investment value of major resources sector projects in Canada plunged by $100 billion, an amount equivalent to 4.5% of Canada's GDP, gross domestic product. To protect Canada's economic future, we collectively cannot afford to overlook the uncertainty and risk to future investments created by Bill C-69. Our 5 provinces and territories stand united and strongly urge the government to accept Bill C-69 as amended by the Senate in order to minimize the damage to the Canadian economy. We would encourage the Government of Canada and all members of the House of Commons to accept the full slate of amendments to the bill. The Senate Committee on Energy, the Environment, and Natural Resources heard 38 days of testimony from 277 witnesses, including Indigenous communities, industry, premiers, and independent experts. Based on that comprehensive testimony, the committee recommended significant amendments to the bill, which were accepted by the Senate as a whole. We urge you to respect that process, the committee's expertise, and the Senate's vote. If the Senate's amendments are not respected, the bill should be rejected, as it will present insurmountable roadblocks for major infrastructure projects across the country and will further jeopardize jobs, growth, and investor confidence. Similarly, Bill C-48 threatens investor confidence, and the tanker moratorium discriminates against Western Canadian crude products. We were very disappointed that the Senate did not accept the recommendation to the Senate Committee on the Transport and Communications that the bill not be reported. We would urge the government to stop pressing for the passage of this bill, which will have detrimental effects on national unity and for the Canadian economy as a whole. Our governments are deeply concerned with the federal government's disregard so far of the concerns raised by our provinces and territory related to these bills. As it stands, the federal government appears indifferent to the economic hardships faced by provinces and territories. Immediate action to refine or eliminate these bills is needed to avoid further alienating provinces and territories and their citizens, and focus on uniting the country in support of Canada's economic prosperity. Yours sincerely, Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, Blaine Higgs, Premier of New Brunswick, Brian Pallister, Premier of Manitoba, Scott Moe, Premier of Saskatchewan, Jason Kenney, Premier of Alberta, Bob McLeod, Premier of the Northwest Territories. So that's interesting, right? You want to hear Trudeau's response? Yeah, here it is.
I think it's absolutely irresponsible for Conservative premiers to be threatening our national unity if they don't get their way. The fundamental job of any Canadian Prime Minister is to hold this country together, to gather us together and move forward in the right way. And anyone who wants to be Prime Minister, like Andrew Scheer, needs to condemn those attacks on national unity.
Attacks on national unity? Attacks on national unity? I think they said this threatens national unity. And they're saying the attacks from national unity or on national unity are coming from these bills that you're trying to push through, that you're trying to ignore the concerns of 6 premiers and make them seem like they're crazy. Well, we've got Twitter, and in the age of Twitter, people have responded, and here's the Premier of Saskatchewan. He says, quote, "This is not the response I expected from Canada's Prime Minister. If it is this PM's divisive policies that are threatening the economic well-being of our nation. Instead of pouring gas on the fire, the PM should be pouring a box of water on it by backing off on bills C69 and C48. Do you mean a water bottle box away from plastic water bottle box of juice box type thing? That was ridiculous. And well done, Mr. Mo. Well done. Fantastic. And Jason Kenney's weighing in too, and this is a bit of a thread. And my show's going to be short this morning. I've got lots and lots of other stuff to get to, so here's a quick hit. That's it for today. But first, Jason Kenney. He says, quote, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has no one to blame but himself for the current strains on national unity. He has claimed the fundamental responsibility of any prime minister is to bring the country together, yet his actions point to the contrary. He's pushing legislation widely criticized by most provinces, industry groups, prospective investors in Canada, and Indigenous leaders as clear violations of provincial jurisdiction and a profound threat to future of natural resource development, economic growth, and prosperity in our country. 6 premiers who signed this letter represent almost 60% of Canada and nearly 2/3 of our economy. To respond with partisan insults to an honest attempt by premiers to engage with Ottawa on a matter of urgent Canadian economic importance is reckless, irresponsible, and damaging to Confederation. His government's legislative actions have caused more division in Canada than we have seen for years, and today's comments only further inflame those tensions. If the Liberal government won't listen to provinces or industry, at least listen to the majority Senate vote endorsing Bill C69 amendments. So, yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. Trudeau is trying to frame this as the premiers attacking national unity. And the premiers are saying, listen, man, we really need to not have this bill passed because it would be very bad for development of our natural resources. So, we're in a bit of a pickle here. And I don't know if these 2 bills are going to get passed before the end of session, before the House breaks for summer. Probably not. But maybe. And if they do pass it, well, I mean, it's going to be one wild ride through the summer. I don't know what to expect. I really don't. I think by the way it looks, both of these bills are going to die on paper. They're going to go away, right? Just because the writ's going to be dropped before anybody comes back. There's not enough time to pass them both. That said, maybe, who knows what they've got up their sleeve. I certainly wasn't expecting Trudeau to be dealing with genocide just before an election. That came out of nowhere, right? So in Canadian politics, anything could happen, but I don't know about these 2 bills. However, Trudeau's response to this letter and the framing of this letter is interesting. The link is in the description. Share it with people and ask them to read it. If they don't want to read it, ask them to come and just listen to my little reading of it. And wow, right? And what does Trudeau say? He says those divisive premiers threatening national unity. How dare they? How dare they indeed, Mr. Trudeau? How dare they indeed? The truth is a fragile thing, right? And it doesn't really matter which way you look at the truth. It's still true. And Mr. Trudeau, well, your version of the truth requires some squinting and some, adjusting your eyes and maybe a looking glass or some glasses or something. Very odd. Anyway, thanks for watching today, everybody. I'm going to try and get a second video out today, but we'll see. I'm very, very busy. Have a wonderful day. Check out thepeoplespartyofcanada.ca. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.